he kind of, he kind of got me on that one. That's right. I need to be a little more serious than I am. I mean, I'm not a. My goal isn't to be a Noahide, but I'm kind of acting like one here because I'm not
I
taking it
think
as
that's
serious as I should.
I think that's the whole point of the plagues. I don't think Judaism for everyone. I mean, we jump into it and we think it's a great idea. Yeah, I love God of Israel. I want to be Israel, and you're like, okay, I'm in for it, and then and then you learn along the way. Oh man, I can't eat bacon cheeseburgers no more. What I mean. It's just like, okay, maybe it's not for you. Maybe you don't stay in the encampment. That's why the
Right.
40 journeys. It says in the 42 journeys that there was a plague on each of the journeys and people died.
Mhm.
What does that mean? Because people couldn't hack it. Some people wanted to move on, do something else.
Let me chime in on this a little bit. I've been listening to what
What's
you guys
up?
have been saying. First of all, we have to keep Torah intact here. And when we argue Torah or discuss Torah, we have to make sure not to mess with the Torah's integrity. Even throwing the idea Noahide or a place for a Noahide, the term Noahide doesn't even exist. With the notion of a Ger Toshav doesn't exist pre-Sinai. Jethro, if he was anything, he was entering the covenant. He was as much as part of the heir of Rob, because I'm sure there were other Midianites in that group of the mixed multitude, and that mixed multitude ceased to exist. Because at
Abraham
least according to the text,
Abraham did call himself a ger and a toshav, and
in that case, God calls Israelites Gerim on his land. So it's a descriptive term. It's not an adjective. It's not what it's become nowadays. Okay, and
Agreed.
nowhere in Jonah does it give us the hint that these were Gentiles. It just doesn't say. Because, of course, no one is familiar with the great Noahide king of Nineveh, because according to the story...
Thank you, Rabbi. That was ridiculous saying that they were goyim.
I'm not saying they were Jews. I'm not saying they weren't Jews. The text doesn't say. And we shouldn't use later notions to interpret older scripture, right? If the text didn't say it, God is telling them to repent. That we know in Isaiah, I think 55, it talks about, let the Nochri not say that God would keep him out of his covenant when he keeps the Sabbath and circumcises himself and all this stuff. In other words, Rashi writes in that portion of the Torah where it says a ger lotone, a ger you shouldn't oppress. He says that means the ger it's talking about there is anyone, Hebrew or not, ethnic Israelite or not, who happens not to live in the land of Israel.
Agreed.
This means that you could be part of the nations and still be in the covenant, which is what we call being Jewish nowadays. There's no such thing as being Jewish, okay? There's being in the covenant and not being in the covenant.
Agreed.
Every Israelite that was not required to live in the land of Israel, they were required to make a pilgrimage 3 times a year into the land of Israel. We know there was a huge community in Alexandria, right? This whole thing that Israel is viewed like Ireland and France is viewed like a nation is a very modern Zionistic idea, right? I mean, in Torah, even when they crossed the Jordan, there were tribes that stayed behind to be the watchmen outside of the land. So living on the land is not as important as the religious Zionists make it seem nowadays. Okay, I'm just saying that we have to deal with what's in the text. Now, I believe in the 7 laws of Noah, but I don't believe that they actually have anything to do with Noah or his descendants chronologically in the Torah, right? I believe they were developed by the court, by the rabbis to adjudicate Gentiles living on Jewish lands. But I don't for a second believe that there was a group of people walking around believing the Torah was true, saying that we're just going to live by 7 laws, when God made no distinction. Right? The God in the Torah said, don't mix wool and linen, and he said, burn the evil from amongst your midst. He made no distinction. So for us to walk around picking and choosing, or for a Noahide to walk around picking and choosing, saying that God commanded me to keep 7 laws, and he commanded you to keep more, is already the creation of a new religion. Now,
Agreed.
I know that Midrashim teach this. There's folklore and legend. Everything metaphysical in the rabbinic world has a halachic root to it. So the 7 laws, like I said, laws created by the court to adjudicate Gentiles living in Gentile lands. And later on, folklore and legend took a hold of it and put a twist on it and said that 6 laws were given to Adam and the 7th law given to Noah. It's like everything. Anything metaphysical typically has a dry legal basis to it, right? Because people get bored with the legal and they want to be taken on a mystical trip. Fine, but when people start taking that seriously and then kind of redirecting people who are leaving one serious religion in search of another serious religion, right? People leaving Christianity, leaving Islam, religions with structure, with an ethical backbone. And in return, they're given a set of 7 laws. It's a joke. When someone comes...
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's not even a slave's law. You live by, if you were a slave to Israel, you would be given more responsibility than those 7 laws.
Well, think about it. That we can't lose sight of the fact that the Hebrews left Egypt with a mixed multitude, and every rabbi who comments on it, and all the midrashim in the Talmud say that they were more of them than of the Hebrews. Okay, so it's not like
But a
there
lot
were
of them got
Noahides
slaughtered off for the golden calf too,
and they were Hebrews.
Yeah, you got to remember.
The Torah doesn't say that.
Son of them kind of got.
The Torah doesn't say that. That's a midrash. Rashi says there that when it says that your people or the people that you brought out, the midrash teaches that Moses converted them on his own in Egypt, and this is why he calls them your people. Right, which is stupid. It's nowhere in the text like this. Many Orthodox Jews, sometimes they quote Rashi and they think they're quoting the text, but it's not in the text. Nowhere in the text does it make it seem that they could use Gentiles or the mixed multitude as a scapegoat for the sins of Israel, because Jews do it all the time. I remember there was my friend in Israel, that he's a Haredi Jew there, and he told me, there's all these scandals about Orthodox rabbis in the schools molesting the kids, and they're like, oh, well, those are our former priests who converted to Judaism, who still had that urge for young boys. They're always using other people as scapegoats instead of taking, because they have this notion that there are no enemies. But anyways, as long as there's a mixed multitude in the text, there can't be a notion of Gentile amongst the people of God. If you're walking with God, you're about to be Israel or about to leave Israel. A ger toshav with someone who happened to find themselves in the midst of the land, Canaanites, who didn't want to convert.
But if they don't take, doesn't halakha say if this ger who's among you, this toshav, I won't say ger yet, but let's say this guy who's with you doesn't take a slave that you capture, doesn't take a vow to keep the 7 laws for his sake, he's sold or gotten rid of, or they'll do whatever with him. He's not going to be a part of. So there is you can't. There is a process. He's not. That doesn't mean he becomes Jewish. He's still a slave.
A slave is something different. Okay. So let's separate what the halacha says with what the Torah says. Okay. And I believe in the halacha, but I have no problem assuming that a lot of these laws were created later on by the court, just like for the need. But the halacha is that if you purchase a slave who refuses to convert, because every slave were circumcised and given a quasi-conversion. They have the status of women in Judaism. In other words, they're bound to keep commandments that aren't time-bound. It's saying that if he doesn't want to go through that quasi-conversion, he at least has to take upon himself the 7 laws. If he refuses to do that, then you have to kill him. But this is a slave you acquire, a non-Jewish slave.
What people like me are,
What do you mean?
Like I say, why do you think Jewish? Because most Jews aren't going to consider me Jewish.
The thing is,
I'll call myself an Israelite as far as
that you're in the covenant already, and you don't even know it. You're walking around saying that you don't keep commandments, or you're not making an attempt to keep commandments, even though you know they're true.
Yeah, I do. That makes no sense. For instance, on Shabbat, I will not play my guitar. My children, my wife.
Yeah, but you still identify as a Gentile.
But I take the time. My girl brings me guitar, wants me to play. I won't play it. It's not. It's one thing I do. I don't have to do that. I'm not bound by halakha to do that.
Okay, but you're picking and choosing what you want to keep. You still identify as a Gentile.
Because I can't keep them all.
Why not?
Because I'm in a position. God's put me in a position that would make me choose between being Jewish or being a father and a husband.
No. Okay.
But there are more of his than you might think.
Not being able to keep them all is one thing. But saying that I'm trying to keep them all to the best of my ability is another.
Well, that's kind of what I mean a bit. Yeah, I do things. I take things on because I know I have to. I know I feel wrong playing guitar on Shabbat. I know it's wrong.
But do you feel like God expects you to keep these laws?
I don't know if God expects it or not.
Because according to the text, he tells a bunch of Gentiles, the term Gentile is a much later notion, a bunch of godless individuals on that mountain, made up of Hebrews and mixed multitudes, to choose life. He's trying to convince them. He's like, choose life that you shall live. By keeping these laws, you'll be choosing a life of blessing. He says later on, I think in Deuteronomy 29, he says that anyone who doesn't commit himself to keep this law shall be cursed. Anyone. But nowadays, you have Chabad, your rabbis walking around. What?
I still get Nevela. But I'm not. Am I not an Israelite? Am I not part of the community?
No. Wait a minute. You don't get nevela. That's the thing, because you're not really a ger toshav. You're in the covenant already. A ger toshav is not in the covenant. A ger toshav doesn't know even how to probably comprehend the oneness of God.
Doesn't he at least have to take the 7 Noahide laws?
That's a rabbinic notion that was created later on. The text doesn't say that.
Okay.
And the text didn't even say that a ger toshav would even have to be monotheist.
But an authority source does say that it does say give it to the ger, sell it to the nochri. So there's a ger and there's a nochri, both are handy. But I get nevela.
A dog.
Huh?
Or a dog, or you could give it to a dog.
Or you can give it to a dog. Okay, that's fine. But
no, it's the same notion.
But by the law,
don't throw the meat away. Like when you have cattle near you that could consume it.
But if the animal jerks and it's not a kosher slaughter, I got steak for a year. Are you freaking? Or at least I could. Are you kidding me? Me and my friends.
But that's not you. That's the thing. Unless you are identifying yourself with godless nomads of that region.
Right, but there is a halakhic difference, is all I'm saying.
A much later halakhic difference when these people weren't in existence.
It's authoritative, right?
No. It's not in terms. Wait, hold on. It's not in terms as a holy status. In other words, if you want to say that it just means docile Gentile in the land of Israel, that's one thing.
Okay.
That for sure, there's a basis for. Now, to say that it's some sort of fourth holy house of Israel and you get a share in the world to come for keeping 7 laws, that is not halachic.
I'll take docile goy any day. I'll take, why? Because I'm in Israel. I would take docile goy any day compared to anything outside of Israel.
Yeah, but what is it?
I would rather have.
The Torah doesn't promise you anything.
I don't need anything
spiritual about it.
Good for me. That's perfect for me. I get spiritual achievement anyway because I get to study with rabbis. I get to look at the text. I can learn some Hebrew.
All right, so you can't even claim to properly worship the God of Israel because the only way you worship the God of Israel is by keeping His laws.
Well, I'll kill any man who says I don't.
Oh, well, you see? And there's resentment, too. So you have all the patterns.
If you're going to pick on the Jews, you're going to have to go through me. And I might not be Jewish, but you ain't getting to them before you get to me. It
sounds like you're a proud second-class citizen, but you don't have to be because you're not, really.
I'm not born into the covenant. You
don't have to be born into the covenant. You're already in the covenant.
I'm as a ger.
Not as a ger. There's no such thing as a ger covenant. Nowhere in the Torah, nowhere in rabbinic Judaism.
The ger is part of the halakha. He's a part.
That has nothing to do with the covenant.
James, you missed the whole point of my whole spiel that I gave in the beginning of the hangout. What you completely missed the point.
I thought you were speaking from Israel's standpoint that we accept them as one of us. That's a good philosophy, but it's not in practice. They won't even let Jews in the door when they want to be Jews.
Yeah, but who's they? That's the thing. Your relationship is with God.
The nation of Israel as a whole.
Screw the nation. They don't have a monopoly on God. The Torah belongs to God and whoever wants to accept it. And it says this at the end of the Rambam and Hilchos Malachim. It says that it's for the children of Jacob and anyone who desires to convert.
Well, I'm not a child of Jacob.
Yeah, but you desire to convert.
That's okay.
He says desires to convert, not converted. In other words, he understood that there probably would be a time where Jews would be stupid enough to lock their doors and keep people from coming in when every Jew is fighting to get out.
It's too bad I'm stupid enough to believe I married the love of my life.
No, you don't have to leave your wife.
That's where God. Honestly, that's where God almost takes an equal seat in my life. She's not going to convert, and she's got my babies.
All right. So you don't have to.
Okay, what am I supposed to? No, I am not going to be held to the choice of being an Israelite or being a goyim or a half-ass. I will not take the status of half-ass. And you and any other Jew out there can kiss my hairy white ass.
Hold on one second.
I am not. No, I am not a second-class human being because I cannot. Because God set me up as a Christian. No, I am not less of a man. I'm not less of an Israelite.
Wait, hold on. You're still viewing it with rabbinic lenses. According to the Torah, who says that you have to divorce her?
I can't eat kosher in a kitchen that she's not going to keep kosher.
Not according to the Torah.
Oh,
that's a rabbinic prohibition.
What about the community? What's the point of converting without a community? Seriously.
There's no.
I'm not having Jewish babies.
Hold on one second. According to the Torah, there's no requirement to live in a Jewish community when you convert. Forget about rabbinic Judaism. I'm a rabbinic Jew, but try to keep Torah in its purest form if you can't keep it in its rabbinic form.
I frankly don't think anybody knows Torah in its purest form nowadays.
But just pick up the 5 books. It's right there.
They're all equal to me. Everybody. It's got to be that way until something's until we can agree on something, and we don't agree. We agree that there's a Torah, but we can't even agree on what it says or what's important. Or
I think
I got maybe 20 years left, lucky, on this planet. I am not going to squabble over being Jewish to something my wife, who will not be Jewish, she's not there yet. She's not going to be. My kids are going to be influenced by our Christian relatives for the rest of their life.
Doesn't
I'm
matter.
not cutting them off from their family. They're going to go to dead dude on a stick. I can't stop that.
Forget about being Jewish. Just identify with the covenant that's in the Torah. That's it.
But that comes with the people too.
Not necessarily.
Give up this last rainbow covenant. I'm going to speak for Pride Month because it's Pride Month this month. Let me cue for a little bit. Give the rainbow. Give up the rainbow for the real covenant. The Star of David with the blue stripes. Give it up for that, James. Do it for me, brother. Go big or go home. Go for the real deal.
I don't know what I'm supposed to put on my hat there because it's a Noahide hat. See the rainbow on where Mario is, where the M is? I don't know what to put on there yet. I'm looking for that.
Oh, that fits in for Pride Month.
It's a shame that the rabbis, with their barriers that they've put up, they're actually responsible for less people keeping Torah on this planet than if they ever existed. Think about it. They've made things worse and not better. And I'm a rabbinic Jew because, for them to say that a Gentile should be proud to be a Gentile and not at least accept Torah, how the Hebrews and the mixed multitude accepted Torah, is unbecoming of someone who claims to worship the God of Israel. You have people like James who identify as a servant of God and is still being told to break the Sabbath. I mean, he's still being told that he's a Gentile. You're not a Gentile. You're not a Gentile.
I haven't been snipped and dunked.
You're a Hebrew, James. You crossed over the river. You crossed over.
I'm the skin. I am on the skin of
Israel. The Torah doesn't say you have to be dunked either, by the way.
In all honesty, James, that's why you're here. I mean, I could hear it in your voice. I hear it coming out of your soul.
What?
It pours out of you, Torah. Like you love it. You literally love it.
Such a fight, Will.
Yeah, I'm a freaking addict. I'm not going back. So there you go. Look at my veins, baby.
James is struggling with this right now. He's putting up such a fight with Rabbi.
In the name of Moses, come out! I rebuke the gay spirit. Yeah, I hear it there. Like if you're in a house of worship, if there's someone who owes you money, that you just start prophesying in front of the whole congregation, come out gay spirit. You want to dress like a woman? You want to wear makeup? Huh? Not in this house of God. Coño.
Yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say, Rabbi, that there's only one covenant that actually matters, and that's the actual covenant God made with Israel, and it's the holiday of Shavuot, which is what this coming up Sunday, right? This coming Sunday, and so